What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on this motherfucking YouTube shit. Wow, what the fuck?
What's up? It's your boy Kevin to turn on YouTube shit. Hey man, say man, we are Lanze to the turn. Motherfucker, that shit hood outside, big trip in it. Gang shit hood outside shit, man. Free Palestine, free Congo, Russia, do your thing. In Texas, stand the fuck up. Each day is a new day to be a better version of yourself. Now let's not bring that arse right back. Now let's not tell you are, but also to put yourself in a position of belong. Let's stay humble. Let's get on a revolution on this moment. Keep Yahweh first. Coming to the Black Hebrew Israelite as a real Jew. We out here. Alright. Today, it's a motherfucker day. Shit hood outside. Big crip in it. Gang shit hood outside shit, man. Alright, gang. Yes, sirski. Hey, man, say, man, another day. You know what I'm saying? We out here fighting for our black people, man. Never giving up, man. We out here on this war, man. Alright, gang, so we got Tory Lanze, man. Hey, man, say, man, this shit got real hectic. From my experience in jail, man, you being a little bit famous and have a little bit of money on, it could get crazy. So we can just imagine what Tory Lanze going through. He got stabbed 14 times. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. It was a hit put on his life. Assassination. They tried to take Tory Lanze out for exposing the truth, gang. This shit is getting wild. He got stabbed 14 times. But it's some truth at the end of the light, gango. The Tory Lanze and Megan Thee Stallion case is getting re-looked at. They have evidence from people saying that Tory Lanze did not do it. Y'all already know how it's been going down. So it's a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if Tory Lanze gonna get free, but at least we know there's still some hope out here. Let's get it. Shout out to Rap Daily, man. Tory Lanze, man.
Tory was stabbed 14 times, including 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side.
Damn,
of
what
his
the
face.
fuck is going on?
Is fighting for his life after a brutal prison attack left him in critical condition.
It can get tough, nigga.
A minute late, the story might have been much different.
Especially when you're rich and famous.
Now, the doctor has revealed some shocking new info about his health, things no one expected. So what's really going on, and how bad is it? Prison attack leaves Tory Lanze in critical condition. The whole rap game was shook when news broke about the wild attack on Tory Lanze inside a California prison facility. On May 12, 2025,
damn, nigga, this is getting wild.
Quickly turned into a life or death situation.
What's going
when
on?
Lanze, known in the streets as Daystar Peterson, got jumped and stabbed 14 times by another inmate at the California Correctional Institution.
Are they in California?
A violent incident popped off around 7:20 a.m. in the prison yard, sending the whole spot into lockdown while the guards rushed to get medical help for the severely injured rapper. The realness of this attack hits different when you peek where the dude got stabbed. According to the official paperwork, Lanze caught 7 stab wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. This wasn't some random prison beef. It looked like a straight-up calculated hit with the intention of putting serious work on it. The shank was described as self-made, one of those prison weapons inmates craft from whatever materials they can get their hands on behind those walls. What made this situation mad critical wasn't just catching all those stab wounds, but the serious medical emergency they caused. The multiple punctures to Lanze's chest caused both of his lungs to collapse, a life-threatening condition doctors call bilateral pneumothorax. Medical experts explain that when air gets where it ain't supposed to be, between the lungs and chest wall, it creates pressure that stops the lungs from expanding.
Free Tory, nigga. Look at Megan Thee Stallion, goofy ass living her best life.
At the same time, it's a double threat because your body can't compensate like it normally would. The prison medical staff weren't playing when they saw how Lanze was struggling to breathe. They activated emergency protocols on the spot, giving him first aid before rushing him to a civilian hospital in Bakersfield. At the hospital, docs put him on a breathing machine while they worked to fix his collapsed lungs and assess all the damage from the multiple stab wounds. For a performance performer who makes his bread with his body and voice, the possibility of serious respiratory damage had everyone wondering if he'd ever be the same on the mic. The California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation confirmed what went down in their official statement, saying, at approximately 7:20 a.m. today, Daystar Peterson, BW0168, was attacked by another inmate at a housing unit in the California Correctional Institution, CCI, in Tehachapi. Staff immediately responded, activated 911, and began medical aid. Peterson was subsequently transported to an outside medical facility for further treatment. But they've been tight-lipped about who did it or why it happened, claiming the investigation is still ongoing with the current county DA's office and the office of the Inspector General.
Fuck 12. 12 don't give no fuck.
Questions about security in the facility. How did an inmate manage to get strapped with a weapon that could do that much damage? Was Lanze specifically targeted? And if so, why? These questions are still hanging in the air while authorities try to piece together what led to this violent encounter. Lanze's attorney, Bbed, has been on his grind trying to get the full scoop about his client's condition and what really went down. While Bbed hasn't been running his mouth too much in the press, he confirmed to the media that he's in touch with prison officials and staying on top of the situation. In a quick statement to TMZ, Bbed described Lanze as upbeat, recovering, and expected to make a recovery, emphasizing that his client is a soldier despite the serious nature of his injury.
From Canada.
As news of the stabbing spread, fans and followers flooded social media with messages showing love and concern for the rapper. Despite all the drama surrounding Lanze from the Bbed Stallion shooting case, many people expressed shock at the violence he faced inside and hoped he pulled through. The incident also sparked bigger conversations about the real dangers of prison life and how even famous inmates face threats behind those walls. Updates on Lanze's condition have given his fans some hope. According to a statement posted on his verified Instagram account, Tory was stabbed 14 times, including 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso.
Well, you get hit with them stabbers, nigga. That hurt.
Both of his lungs collapsed, and he was placed on a breathing apparatus. He is now breathing on his own. Despite being in pain, he is talking normally, in good spirits, and deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through. The fact that Lanze is now breathing on his own is a major W in his recovery journey. Medical professionals who know about collapsed lung cases say this suggests the doctors were successful in reinflating his lungs, though the healing process for the damaged lung tissue is just getting started. Each of those 14 stab wounds brings its own set of medical problems with risks of infection, scarring, and potential damage to surrounding areas depending on how deep they went and exactly where they hit. For Lanze, the road to recovery isn't going to be quick or easy. Trauma specialists say healing from injuries this serious typically takes months, not weeks, with the first few weeks being crucial to prevent complications like infection or internal bleeding. The months after that will focus on building his strength back up, especially for his damaged lungs. While it's good news that he can speak normally and is keeping his head up, the physical and mental impact of such a violent attack will likely stay with him long after the visible wounds have healed. As the investigation continues, there's still a lot we don't know about what led to the attack. Prison officials are reviewing security footage, talking to witnesses, and examining evidence to figure out exactly what popped off that morning in the prison yard. The findings could lead to more charges against whoever did it and might make the facility review their security protocols to prevent similar incidents in the future. For now, Lanze remains under medical care, facing a long recovery process while serving his 10-year bid for the shooting conviction. The stabbing adds another wild chapter to what's already been a crazy journey, leaving many wondering what the future holds for the controversial rapper as he continues navigating the harsh realities of life behind bars. Meanwhile, Tory Lanze has received mad love from fans and some industry figures, despite his controversial legal history. The near-fatal attack seems to have temporarily shifted how people are talking about Lanze, with many putting aside their thoughts on his conviction to express genuine concern for his well-being in this life-threatening situation. Social media platforms quickly got flooded with messages of prayer and support from fans using hashtags like #PrayForTory and #StayStrongTory. These digital gatherings became
if you rich and got some money out in jail and you famous nigga,
posted favorite performances or songs,
it's gonna be tough in jail, bitch.
Even some individuals who had previously called Lanze out for his role in the Bbed Stallion shooting expressed sympathy for his current situation, showing how extreme circumstances can sometimes transcend existing.
You the one stop Megan? Glass
figures have also spoken out following the attack.
Megan stepped on some glass, bitch. Her best friend hit her.
You might expect for an artist of Lanze's status who hasn't been convicted of a serious crime. This measured industry reaction reflects the complicated position Lanze holds in the music world following his conviction, while he maintains a dedicated fan base and some industry allies. Many labels, promoters, and fellow artists have kept their distance due to the serious nature of his offense and the broader industry reckoning with issues of violence against women. Lanze's family, particularly his father's son,
Megan and her best friend
throughout his legal troubles and continues to ride for him during this latest crisis. Peterson, gained attention for his emotional outburst after the guilty
Is this hairline spray painted? Is that shit spray painted on? I had questions to ask
as further
that need to be
injustice in
answered
what he
here.
sees as an already unjust situation.
True.
The shooting that sent him to prison. Before Tory Lanze found himself fighting for his life in a prison hospital bed, he was caught up in one of the most high-profile cases the music industry
One of the craziest shit that done happened for him recently.
The pen began on a summer night in 2020 after what should have been just another lit Hollywood Hills.
I'm glad Megan Thee Stallion, nothing crazy happened to her too much. She lose no pinky toe. Because Megan Thee Stallion, after she got shot, a month too later, she was back on Instagram twerking that ass like it never happened.
Megan Thee Stallion, real name Megan P, and Megan's then homegirl Kelsey Harris were riding in an SUV when an argument broke out. What started as a regular disagreement quickly.
I heard Tory said both of them.
Explained later in court, she decided to hop out of the whip to remove herself from the situation before things got worse.
It was an argument because I was ready to go and everybody else wasn't ready to go. But that's like normal friend stuff.
What happened next would become the talk of the industry all over social media and eventually the subject of a major criminal trial. According to Megan's account, as she walked away from the vehicle, Lanze yelled, "Dance, bitch!" before busting shots at her feet. She caught wounds in both feet, fell to the ground bleeding, and later needed surgery for her injuries, which she said caused lasting nerve damage. The aftermath of the shooting was almost as chaotic as what went down. When the police responded to reports of shots fired and pulled over the vehicle, Megan initially claimed she cut her feet on glass, a decision she later explained was influenced by fear of how cops might react in the tense climate following George Floyd's murder just weeks earlier. She was especially worried about what might happen to Lanze, a black man, if police knew he had a burner in the car.
Right. So I get out the car and it's like everything happens so fast. And all I hear is this man screaming, he said, "Dance, bitch." And he started shooting.
Lanze got locked up that night on a charge of carrying a concealed weapon.
Oh, you like twerking that ass? Alright.
$5,000. At this point, the full story of what went down wasn't public knowledge yet. It wasn't until August 20th, 2020 that Megan went on Instagram Live and straight up named Lanze as the one who shot her, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community and beyond. As the case developed, the streets and the industry became divided. Megan faced mad scrutiny and skepticism from certain corners of the internet and music world, with various figures questioning her story or suggesting other scenarios. Lanze
Megan a bad bitch.
Dropping an entire
I just won't be able to trust her because she might lock a nigga up and never get to see the day of light ever again.
Of the story. The legal process moved slow but steady. On October 8th, 2020, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office hit Lanze with felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, carrying a loaded, unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence. These charges carried a potential bid of up to 22 years and 8 months. Lanze pleaded not guilty to all charges on November 18th, 2020. The trial finally kicked off on December 5th, 2022, after several delays. Over 9 days, the jury heard testimony from various witnesses, including Megan herself, who described both her physical injury
prison
and the
movies.
Emotional toll. The incident and subsequent public backlash
become a prison boss in prison is harder than you think, bitch.
Death threats and experiencing
I don't care if you got money on and fame, bitch.
I wish he would have shot and killed me if I knew I would go through this torture.
And shoot me and kill me.
Kelsey Harris, Megan's former friend who was present during the incident, provided testimony under immunity that initially seemed hesitant and inconsistent. However, prosecutors played a recorded interview in which she had previously identified Lanze as the shooter. The jury also heard from a detective who backed up Megan's account of Lanze shouting, "Dance, bitch, dance," during the shooting. A witness who saw the incident
that was Dance Revolution, huh?
A smaller gentleman firing with a muzzle flash near a woman, though his account wasn't completely clear on all details. Lanze chose not to take the stand in his own defense. Instead, his legal team argued that Harris, not Lanze, was the actual shooter, suggesting she was big mad over jealousy about Lanze's relationships with both women.
Sounds
they
about
also
right.
questioned Megan's credibility based on her initial false statement to police and implied her motivations might be connected to boosting her music career. After 2 days of deliberation, on December 23rd, 2022, the jury came back with their verdict, guilty on all 3 charges. The moment was heated, with Lanze's father reportedly causing a scene in the courtroom, yelling about a wicked system and claiming the trial was a miscarriage of justice.
I just stood here in this Los Angeles County
and witness the worst miscarriage of justice that this world has ever seen. On August 8th, 2023, Judge David Hereford sentenced Lanze to 10 years in the pen, with credit for 305 days already served through a combination of jail time and house arrest. Prosecutors had pushed for a 13-year sentence, citing what they described as Lanze's campaign of misinformation and danger to public safety, while his defense team had requested probation and drug treatment instead of prison time. During the sentencing hearing, Lanze addressed the court, expressing regret for his actions while maintaining a stance that seemed to stop short of fully admitting guilt for the shooting itself. If I could turn back the series of events that night and change them, I would, he stated, adding, I want to apologize to everyone in this courtroom, the court itself, and Megan. I am everything but proud of myself. The court also issued a protective order requiring Lanze to stay at least 100 yards away from Megan and to avoid any contact with her. His motion for a new trial got denied in May 2023, and a request for bond during his appeal process was shot down in September 2023, ensuring he would remain locked up at the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi while his legal team continued to pursue appeals. Throughout this period, the case continued to spark heated debates on social media and within the hip-hop community. Megan faced significant backlash, including death threats and people calling her a liar, which she addressed directly during her testimony, noting the industry's big boys club mentality. Support for both artists divided along various lines, with some public figures eventually apologizing for initially doubting Megan's account after evidence came out during the trial. Tory's relationship with Megan before the fall, before the gunplay and courtroom drama, before prison sentences and getting shanked, Tory Lanze and Megan Thee Stallion had what looked like a solid friendship that might have briefly turned into something more serious. Their relationship, which started with genuine vibes and creative collaborations, is mad different from the bitter legal beef that would later define how people see them together. The first time these two artists were spotted linking up was probably at the Bougie Rock Nation brunch in January 2020, a star-studded industry event where all the heavy hitters in music come through. At this gathering, Megan reportedly tried to play matchmaker, attempting to set up her friend Kelsey Harris with Tory Lanze, which suggests she initially saw him as someone she trusted and respected enough to bring into her inner circle. As winter turned to spring in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic had everybody on lockdown, creating a strange situation where creativity and connections often popped up in unexpected ways. During this period, Megan and Tory's friendship became more public, with Megan making appearances on Tory's popular Instagram live show Quarantine Radio, which had become the move during the early days of lockdown. They were also caught making TikToks together and sipping drinks on social media, activities that suggested they were mad comfortable with each other. These public interactions had fans speculating about a possible romance, though neither artist confirmed they were officially booed up at the time. Their bond seemed partly built on shared experiences, especially the loss of their mothers, a deep pain that both artists had dealt with while in the spotlight. This common ground might have created a deeper connection beyond just being industry colleagues.
I never put my hands on anybody. I never raised my voice too loud. Like, this was one of them times where it was like, it shouldn't have got this crazy.
The real nature of their relationship during this time has different stories, depending on who's telling it. In a 2022 interview with Gayle King, Megan denied ever having a sexual relationship with Lanze, but in her later documentary, Megan Thee Stallion, in her words, she admitted to a brief hookup, saying it happened once, maybe twice on a drunk night. She explained her earlier denial was because she felt uncomfortable with the question and all the public scrutiny about her personal business. Lanze told his side of the story on his 2020 album, Daystar, claiming they had taken secret flights to see each other, and that Megan had kept their relationship on the low from Kelsey Harris. During the trial, the defense suggested that jealousy over Tory's relationship with both women might have contributed to the beef on the night of the shooting, implying there was more to the story than what had been said publicly. Whatever was really good between them. By early July 2020, Megan and Tory seemed cool enough with each other to hang out socially, showing up together at a pool party at Kylie Jenner's spot on July 12th. Videos from earlier that day showed them chilling poolside, apparently enjoying each other's company with no signs of the drama that would pop off later that night. The dramatic switch from friends to legal enemies shocked a lot of people watching from the outside. While it's common for relationships to end on bad terms, few turn into violent incidents with gunshot wounds and decade-long prison sentences. This transformation shows how volatile the situation was and raises questions about what really went down between the two artists before that fateful night.
Sure, we'll never know the truth until it comes out in court.
After the shooting, their relationship played out mostly through public statements, social media posts, and diss tracks. Megan addressed the incident in her 2020 track, Shots Fired, a hard-hitting diss that sampled notorious Big West, Who Shot Ya, and contained bars that seemed to mock Lanze's actions while accusing him of capping to protect his image. Lanze, meanwhile, used his Daystar album to present his version of events, denying the allegations and suggesting that Megan's team had tried to set him up. The case showed how quickly relationships can fall apart when serious beef happens, especially when careers, reputations, and legal consequences are on the line. It also revealed the challenges of navigating personal relationships under the unforgiving spotlight of public scrutiny and social media commentary, where private matters quickly become fodder for public debate and judgment. Throughout the trial and subsequent appeals process, more details came out about the complex dynamics between Megan, Lanze, and Kelsey Harris. Text messages, recorded phone calls, and witness testimony painted a picture of a relationship.
Tory got the short end of the stick, like no cap.
Toxic. Megan testified that
they beat that nigga in here with a meat hammer, bitch.
To keep quiet about the shooting, citing his probation status for a prior weapons.
They'll try to knock that hairline back a couple more inches, nigga.
Suggest he knew he had messed up that night.
So
imagine you get stabbed in your hairline and your shit is man, I'll be fucked up.
Effects on both
You
artists'
done fucked up my hairline, bitch.
Megan has spoken openly about the emotional damage, including depression and anxiety, made worse by public skepticism and online hate. She described feeling betrayed not only by Lanze, but by a music industry that she felt didn't fully have her back as a victim of violence.
But you was on a Rock Nation. Jay-Z, one of the biggest
prison time, dramatically changing the
rap artist and
career and
mogul out here.
The transition from celebrity status to just another inmate has been a serious reality check for the once flourishing artist. When he checked into the California Correctional Institution in Tehachapi in September 2023 to start his 10-year bid, he stepped into a world completely different from the lavish lifestyle he was used to as a successful recording artist. Located about 75 miles north of Los Angeles, this medium security facility became Lanze's new home, stripped of all the freedoms, luxuries, and creative outlets that had defined his life on the outside. The first months of lockup are usually the hardest for any new inmate, but for high-profile prisoners like Lanze, adjusting to prison life hits different. Celebrity inmates often face unique challenges, including potential targeting by other inmates looking to make a name for themselves, the mental struggle of adapting to a drastically reduced social status, and the constant eyes of both correctional officers and fellow inmates watching their every move. Despite these challenges, Lanze seemed determined to keep his head up and stay positive, traits that would later prove crucial during his recovery from the stabbing attack.
I feel like it's just about staying tall and, staying true to you and, being unapologetically yourself.
Even while locked up, Lanze continued to make headlines. His legal team pursued various appeals, including a habeas corpus petition filed in October 2023, though these efforts failed to overturn his conviction.
Man, these judges and lawyers, man, all fucking corrupted and crooked, nigga.
Creating confusion among fans about the status of his case. A reminder of how celebrities' legal situations often get twisted in the court of public opinion. Life inside prison walls is strictly regimented, with inmates following rigid schedules for meals, work assignments, yard time, and lockdowns. For Lanze, who had previously enjoyed the freedom to create music whenever inspiration hit, this structured existence represented a major adjustment, while some prisons offer arts programs or recording opportunities for inmates. Access to such resources varies widely and is often limited, potentially restricting Lanze's ability to stay creative during his incarceration. Despite these challenges,
when you with the public nigga, anything can happen. But if you in PC, shit can happen, because there be all the gay niggas in that bitch.
About his ability
I don't
to
know.
overcome obstacles and adapt to difficult circumstances. During a 2022
You gonna get stabbed both ways, pause,
he
nigga.
reflected on his mindset when facing adversity, saying, "I'm lion-hearted. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Leo. My mom always told me I was a wolf, and she said, wolves, we fight in packs. And at the end of the day, a wolf's always going to bring it back home to the pack." Whether Lanze can eventually redeem himself in the eyes of the public, rebuild his career, and create a positive future beyond his incarceration remains to be seen. What's clear is that the path ahead will be neither straight nor easy, requiring continued resilience, personal growth, and a reckoning with the actions that led to his current circumstances. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.
The truth is, shout out. Hey man, say man, we finna get into some deep, how, behind the scenes, what we think really be happening.
A few days back, I covered the breaking news that Tory was brutally attacked in prison. Tory seemed to barely survive the attack, but thankfully, he was able to pull through and is making a full recovery. Now he's back in the headlines once again, this time It's being reported that there's new evidence in the Meg versus Tory case that has been discovered.
Whoa.
With it now being reported that Kelsey's own bodyguard is confirming that Tory wasn't who shot Meg the
See, he been said
Now,
that.
this changes everything. And if
They
this
stopped him
evidence
from
can
going
be
into
verified,
court.
it could help free Tory Lanze. Hey guys, I hope all is well.
Shout out.
Welcome back to The Truth Is, right? Listen, let's get right into it.
Tory Lanze is innocent,
Right
gang.
now, we are all watching Tory Lanze fight not only for his freedom, but for his life in real time.
They hold that
While he
nigga.
was found guilty a few years back, today the world is being forced to revisit that judgment, re-examine the evidence that led to the decision to throw Tory in prison. While Tory definitely isn't a perfect man like most of us, he has his flaws. What it does seem is that he is an innocent man who is most likely paying for a crime he didn't commit. This new evidence that was just presented by Tory's team could prove that to be true. But before we talk about that new evidence, I wanted to update you guys on the stabbing situation that Tory is currently recovering from. I managed to find a bit more information on what happened that day. I have been further looking into it, and what I found further confirms what I said in my last video. First, it was reported that Tory Lanze was stabbed early in the morning, and it wasn't in the yard. I had reported that the incident happened in the yard, as that's what the media initially reported. But it turns out, he was just coming out of his cell when the attack happened. Like I said in my previous video, he was hit 14 times and was left with various wounds all over his body. Now, the media has released the name of the suspect who was accused of stabbing Tory Lanze, and his name is Santiago Casio, a 41-year-old man who is serving life in prison for the murder of his underage girlfriend. This man was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole for second-degree murder, first-degree attempted murder, and personal use of a dangerous or deadly weapon to inflict great bodily injury. This man has also gotten himself repeatedly in trouble in prison. In January 2008, he was sentenced to 6 years for assaulting a fellow prisoner with a deadly weapon. In 2018, he was sentenced to another 2 years for possessing a deadly weapon. If any of you watching this video today watched the last video I did on Tory, you would remember that in the first video, I predicted this could have been a hit carried out by someone facing life. This man was in prison facing life and was already known for attacking others. Obviously, this man had no issues taking money for a hit. All they have to do is hit up someone connected to the guy on the outside who collects the payment on behalf of the guy in the inside. Then the job gets done. There have been rumors that all of this happened to Tory because he's paying off gangs in prison, claiming he didn't pay off this gang and that's why they attacked him. Some other claims are that he was
once you start paying off these gangs, man, you get in a rabbit hole, nigga.
With the Mexican gangs in prison. Now, the man who attacked Tory was a Latino, from what is seen from looking at his mugshot. However, there isn't any confirmation or evidence to prove this was because of a gang war or because of any kind of death. In fact, I strongly believe this attack on Tory was under orders from someone from the outside, someone who doesn't want to see Tory Lanze get out of prison. And this was basically just confirmed by Tory Lanze's team just yesterday in a press conference. Just yesterday, some representatives of the organization called Unite the People did a press conference where attorney Walter Roberts made the bold claim that Tory is innocent, claiming that they have new evidence to suggest it. They're claiming that Kelsey's bodyguard recently came forward and confessed that Kelsey had admitted to being the one who shot Megan, also admitting that Tory ran up on Megan and Kelsey to stop the shooting, knocking the weapon out of her hand, where it went off 2 more times.
We are here today to bring to your attention some information Unite the People believes is exculpatory in Mr. Daystar Peterson's case, professionally known as Tory Lanze. Recently, we've been made aware that a member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gascon, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell. Unite the People represents Daystar Peterson in his appellate process. We filed an appellate brief and a habeas corpus on his behalf. The district attorney's office has already responded. The case is fully briefed. We're just waiting for the appellate court's decision. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out, but given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come here today to provide you with this information. It is our intention to make a request to the governor to either pardon or commute the sentence of Mr. Peterson. So
Man, they're trying to get out the paint.
He's not returned to a jail cell, but that he's allowed to go home and recover. Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Miss Harris had where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm, gunshots came from the passenger side. The passenger side is where Miss Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson.
Wow.
Even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense?
We begin behind the scenes of what's going on, bro.
Understanding regular LAPD practice at a crime scene like that, anybody who's there, the DNA is taken. Another irregularity. Why, at Miss Harris's police interview, was a non-lawyer, non-family member, record company executive allowed to participate? A highly irregular situation. Normally, we see cases, strangers are not allowed in these things, but it was in this case. All of these things point to the highly irregular nature of his trial and his conviction. It is our contention that he was wrongly convicted. And while we at first were willing to let the process play out, it is our contention now that if he is not pardoned or released promptly, he may never come out. And that would be the ultimate injustice, is that he gets killed in prison for something he did not do.
This new evidence could confirm that Tory Lanze is 100% innocent. If this could be verified, this could get Tory out of jail. Something that is extremely important right now, as Tory is in serious danger.
They looking to take
Don't
that
you
nigga
think it's
out.
odd that after Tory made this tape from prison exposing Jay-Z and Rock Nation, this all happens to him? After months in prison with no incidents, all of a sudden he's attacked. Just days after his team discovers this new information, proving he was innocent. Now, if you saw my last video, you would have seen me completely break down the other evidence that seems to prove Tory was set up, especially the connection between Tory's former lawyer, Sean Hawley, and Rock Nation. If you haven't seen that video, go watch that after this one, as if you're not already convinced Tory was set up, that video will prove it. It's clear that this attack was sent from the outside, as they were trying to silence Tory, as they knew this info was coming out soon. Now, like I've reported in my previous video, I have heard this story before, that Kelsey was the one who allegedly shot Megan. I honestly felt like this was what could have happened since day one, as it made more sense to me than Tory shooting Meg. To me, it's more believable that Kelsey got jealous of Meg when she found out she was hooking up with him behind her back. That day in the car, she found out what Meg was doing, so they started to fight, and Kelsey, possibly mad at her best friend who is rich and famous and could have had just about anyone she wanted, went after her boyfriend, so she tried to take her out. Tory jumped in the incident just to stop it, and this is when things got worse. This was pretty much even backed up by one of the witnesses who ended up changing their testimony after meeting with the prosecution. This explains why Kelsey wanted immunity for snitching on Tory. Many people point to the recording of Tory apologizing to Kelsey the day after everything went down as proof Tory was guilty. People say that because Tory said sorry, he admitted to doing the crime. The thing is, This sorry could have been for anything that have happened that day. He could have said sorry for something he said during the argument, or for cheating on Kelsey. There could have been many reasons for this apology, but it makes no sense to assume he would be dumb enough to snitch on himself the day after it happened. In my opinion, Tory didn't do this. In fact, Megan wasn't even pinning it on Tory at first. I believe, and this is just my opinion, that Rock Nation instructed them to go after Tory, as Tory had allegedly turned down a deal with them and also spoke out about signing to record deals. I believe Rock Nation or others saw this incident as the perfect opportunity to bring Tory down. Again, in my opinion,
Tory is exposing the industry.
It could be possible that any one of these labels, including Rock Nation, could have made this all happen. Now we're getting information that Kelsey's very own bodyguard overheard her confessing to doing the crime. This could be the evidence that should change everything. And I say should because we know how corrupt the system is. That's exactly how Tory got in there to begin with. Corruption. In another part of the conference, a woman, a part of the Unite the People team, came out and basically confirmed what I said in my last video.
Itself. That's why I'm speaking out today for Daystar Peterson, better known to the world as Tory Lanze. This isn't about fame. It isn't about celebrity. It's about fairness. Tory Lanze doesn't want special treatment. He's demanding equal treatment. And if we Americans still believe in a system where guilty must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then we must have serious concerns. Because the truth is, Tory Lanze is serving a 10-year sentence for a crime that evidence, which laid out here today, overwhelmingly suggests he did not commit. Let's go back to the night in question, just like Gianna was just talking about in the attorneys. As the attorneys laid out here today, the prosecution failed to produce a single shred of forensic evidence tying Tory to the actual gun. His fingerprints weren't on it. His DNA was later found to be 100% nearly excluded from the gun, as shown in the worksheet that was provided to the defense late on the eve of the actual trial, after making a request for that very document. After trial, looking at this evidence, there is a 0.01% chance Tory's DNA was on the firearm. That's a difficult statistic to equate with the story as told by the prosecution, which may be why this was not present in trial. In fact, there were 3 people that night at the scene who tested positive for gunshot residues. One of those was Kelsey Harris, as Gianno mentioned, the assistant to Megan Pete. According to multiple sworn testaments that you've heard today, including one from the bodyguard and driver with Harris on the 2 days of the trial, Harris admitted to firing the weapon during an emotional outburst. Tory intervened to de-escalate, not to harm. It is important to note, the police did not fingerprint anyone else who had gunshot residue on them that night, only Tory. Why? Even more troubling, the investigation itself was a disaster. Bullet fragments disappeared, the gun serial number was sealed, a move that blocked the defense from investigating ownership. Police failed to follow standard procedures. Why? Didn't mark shell casings on the road, and didn't test others involved that night with DNA. This wasn't justice. It was a rush to judgment. Worse still, the prosecution knew the case was thin. So what did they do? They tacked on gun enhancements, just like they spoke about. Let's be blunt. This prosecution had everything to do with headlines and very little to do with truth. It was about symbolism, not substance. And that should concern every single one of you here today and in this country. Because when the facts take a back seat to identity, when due process is sacrificed for public spectacle, we all lose. Timing of these events raised disturbing questions to me, and I think they all should to you as well. After over 2 years in prison without incident, Tory was stabbed 14 times just days after a major national news outlet reached out to Megan Pete's team, Kelsey Harris, and former DA George Gascon about a story on new evidence in this case. You don't have to believe in conspiracies to see the pattern. When evidence was about to come to light, Tory was nearly killed.
As you can see, everyone can tell exactly what this is. Tory was being targeted because his team got the evidence they needed to get him out. Those who put him in there know that if this blows up in their face, it's going to be bad. So they try to make Tory disappear. One thing that I found very powerful about this conference was Tory's father. He spent this time giving the credit to Jesus for Tory's recovery, saying prayers and thanking God for saving his son.
YouTube Premium. The reason why he bears the name Daystar is because I was scheduled to speak in a conference in Washington, D.C. back in the early 2000s. I was up praying before that conference that I was supposed to speak at that evening. As I paced back and forth in my hotel suite praying, I began to quote the scripture from 2 Peter chapter 1, and it states, "For you will do well to take heed as unto a light shining in a dark place, until the day dawns and the day star arises in your heart." I didn't know whether it was a boy or girl in my late wife's womb, but I heard the Holy Spirit said to me, "That is the name of your child." That's why he bears that name today. And so I'm going to pray a very short prayer before I get started here today. I'm going to pray that in the spirit of when Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, stood before Pontius Pilate. Pontius said, "Why do you not speak? Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you or to let you go free?" It was only one of the times that Jesus ever spoke. He said, "You would not have power over me unless God Almighty gave it to you today." And I have come to bear witness of the truth. Upon which Pontius Pilate replied, "What is truth?" That question was never answered in Pilate's judgment hall. But I answer it for you today because Jesus Christ himself told us what the truth was. Truth is not a philosophy, it's not an ideology, it's not a doctrine, and it certainly is not a religion. Truth is a person. His name is Jesus Christ, who said, "I am the way, the truth that leads you to life." Father, upon the basis of your word today that this nation was founded upon, I ask that every ear that needs to be opened, including the ear of the governor of the state of California,
For that boy Tory, man.
Gavin Newsom, I'm even asking today that in the midst of Mr. Trump's busy schedule as president of the United States, that this would come into his hearing. And so, Father, I ask you today, by your Spirit, because you're the only reason why my son is yet alive, have your way, and let this be glorifying your name. I thank you for it in Jesus' name. I want to dispel a few rumors because I've been asked to by my son, Daystar, a.k.a. Tory Lanze. Number one, Daystar does not have a drinking problem. Daystar did not suffer superficial wounds. He was stabbed 14 times. After that, he was being rushed to a facility nearby in a vehicle in which he said, and I quote, "Dad, I thought it was my last." And having made my peace with God, I said, "Okay, God, is this how it's supposed to end for me?" But God said no. God told him, "Do not give up," in the car, upon which he turned to the attending officers and he said, "You must get me to wherever is the closest place that I can get to. I'm bleeding out here." He didn't even know his lungs had collapsed. All he knows is that he couldn't breathe. He could hardly speak. Upon which the officer turned around and looked at him and said, "Nah, we got to take him. He has to be airlifted." And thankfully, to God be the glory.
As you can see, Tory's father is fighting the battle with God. It's clear that God had a say in Tory's survival, as being hit 14 times would take out most men. After this press conference, I believe that Tory should at least get another trial. But considering the courts are owned by Masons, who knows if Tory will ever get the second chance to prove his innocence. Regardless, it's good to see him and his family stand up for the truth. At this point, Tory represents standing up for the truth, and hopefully he will get a chance to prove he's been telling the truth the entire time. Well, I'm gonna end this one here. I want to thank you all for watching,
hey gang, hope
and
y'all
I'll
been enjoying
see
these videos,
you
gang.
guys in the next one.
Make sure y'all keep on liking, subscribing, videos up. The grind don't stop. Thank God, Tory, all right. As you can see, Crip, it's always some Mickey tricky ass shit behind the scenes. This is in any organization, any group, any government or anything. It's always gonna be some Mickey tricky ass shit behind this shit, Crip. The thing is, man, Kelsey, no cap, man. She just looked like, after all this shit, man, she was exposing herself. You know what I'm saying? But you know how the people control the whole industry, the court, the judges, the jail, the hospitals. Well, you know, that shit can get tricky. Motherfuckers can come in, take some shit, move some shit around, pay people under the table, get that, this, and that. And next thing you know, you in jail for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? You might not even did it. Crip. Not knowing that they was all planning this to happen from the beginning on. You know what I'm saying? Facts. The stabbing shit. Was that a paid hit from the people y'all already know? If motherfuckers trying to get Tory Lanze out the paint, 14 times stabbing, this can't be on some damn noodles and motherfucking beef jerky sticks. Crip. You know what I'm saying? You gotta fuck the nigga bitch. Hit their mama or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Punk their brother or some shit. Like, this shit is getting crazy. Man, at the end of the day, man, we need a response from the Mexican dude. Because we don't know what the fuck is going on. You know what I'm saying? These jail people can make up anything these days. But at the end of the day, if he did it, this shit is wild, man. I've been in jail and shit, like, people, but it was, man, I don't know, man. Shit get crazy in jail. That's all I can say. In prison, I know it gets crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm grateful that Tory Lanze is healthy. Well, not healthy, but yeah, he's kind of healthy. But he's not deceased. His father came online, spoke to the people. I don't know how good this is going to help the case of what's going on with Tory Lanze. Because at the end of the day, he already been found guilty. We already know these judges are getting paid. Lawyers, all of them. So it's, at the end of the day, it's like when Tory Lanze is exposing the truth and steady exposing the truth, while he in prison, they like, we got to get this nigga out the paint before we all go come down crashing. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting into a crazy time we living in, man. That's why we can't give up as a black community whole, because it might be some people who might try to take each other out. You know what I'm saying? For some other shit, not even for the good reason. So, gang, I remember, man, stay on your P's and Q's. Keep your head on the swivel. And don't get caught lacking out on these streets, prison, anywhere, your job, anything you do in life. Because it could be a setup waiting for you to end your career or your life. We out this bitch. Hood, Northside, Big Creek. Free Tory. Gang.
Hey, Dad, you know, dog, when we link up, dog, this shit be legendary. Even though this is instrumental, you the engineer on it, so Kodak everywhere.